Hi, I'm media whore and busy homosexual Dean Arcuri. Welcome to my bed. Today, in between the sheets, I have the lovely Matt Shepherd and Robbie Latour joining me, and we are going to be talking about what it means to give back to our communities as volunteers, because the majority of what our communities are based on are grassroots activities and people and volunteers that make everything that happens in our LGBTIQA+ community stronger. So Matt, first off, why don't you let us know, how have you given back and volunteered to our communities?
Every year we'll go for the World AIDS Day, so December 1st we'll do the Red Ribbon Street Appeal. Very rewarding, very cool, very fun getting out in the community, obviously spreading awareness of HIV and people who are living with HIV. Also being the Melbourne Rubberman, recently did a fundraiser for David Williams Fund. So we raised, what was it, $7,600 in total to shave this beard. I did have a bigger beard earlier.
A very bushy big beard that disappeared, and now it's just this with baby fur. Put all this work and commitment into helping to create something that gives back, which was wonderful.
It was amazing. I'm still on a high from it, to be honest, and I still think we could do more. And then that's the thing. It's kind of what's the word? You just want to continue. So being a title holder, yeah, cool. Am I going to do it again? Hell yeah. Like I'll definitely get back into this. I'll help the next my Sash son out next year.
I think that's what's wonderful about volunteering and helping to be a part of something bigger. Robbie, you do that as one of the voices on Joy 94.9, Australia's LGBTI radio station, don't you?
I sure do. I have the honour and privilege of co-hosting a radio show with yours truly, Dean. You really are a media whore. I've been working at Joy for nearly 5 years now as an on-air host, but also, producing radio, but also volunteering with various events that Joy has throughout the year, which, like Matt was saying, is a very rewarding experience, and I think it's a really important thing to do. I think it's really important that people do give back to this community that we get so much out of.
Yep. So if we look back to when you started first being a part of World AIDS Day and handing out red ribbons, and when you first decided to go, I'm going to go and be a part of Joy 94.9, what made you want to do it?
What brought me to do it was I just wanted to get out of the house a bit. I wanted to have something that was that was interesting, that was passionate, just something that would spark some interest with me. So I didn't get into it, for the reasons of giving back to the community, but that's straight away what it became.
Yeah.
It straight away became that's what it meant to me, and that's why I was locked in and I stayed, because it became my way of giving back to a community that had given so much. To me.
Yes, I mean Thorne Harbour, World AIDS Day and also David Williams Fund is all part of Thorne Harbour Health. So seeing what they do in our community, so they're forefront and centre of, I guess, the gay community. So seeing what they do, I kind of wanted to be part of that. I'm like, yep, cool. I don't want to focus on any other, direction other than those guys. And they're very informative. The support they provide our community is by far the best I've ever seen.
I think a lot of people forget how many organisations that provide so many things for our communities are volunteer. Like the one we're a part of right now. We're on Bent TV, and these shows are created by volunteers. We're the lucky people that get to sit in front of the camera and look pretty, but actually there's a team of really dedicated, amazing volunteers behind the camera doing the editing, helping to make this work. And I think what we often forget is that being a volunteer isn't just about being the face of something. And within our communities, it's so great to not just have to go to a pub and have a drink or connect with your community by trying to find people on an app. But by volunteering, you can actually engage. You can be a part of something bigger. You can help to support people in a lot of different ways. And I think we also, we always think in our own communities, we sit down and think, well, I remember what it was like when I wasn't out or when I was younger and didn't know what to do. So being able to see and help make our communities grow through volunteering is really important.
I think that's a really good point, Dean, and it's one of the things that I'm most passionate about, especially with Joy FM and Bent TV. It creates a voice for our community, and it creates a large voice, a lasting voice that does reach people who may not see it every day.
Yeah.
It's easy for us when we go down to the pub and we see our friends, and we are invested in a part of the community. But there are people who maybe live in rural areas or don't get to experience that every day, who then do get to know that there is a community for them and they're not alone.
But it's not even the rural areas. Like, I actually remember quietly listening to Joy FM, Joy 94.9, when they were on, like, when they had a weekend license over summer, and I would listen to it in the radio upstairs thinking no one could hear me, or watching segments on Bent TV really quietly upstairs at home, or taping them and watching them later, because this was your culture, this was you trying to find out information, because the only thing we had, well, that was, all right, I'm older than I like to talk about, but that was kind of when the internet was introduced, and you'd Google the word gay and a whole lot of different things would come up that your parents you absolutely didn't want them to see. So contributing in a different way and being a part of a voice to help support others is something that's really wonderful.
100%, 100%. And the high that you get from it. I don't know, like I'm still on a high. My fundraiser, which you played a huge role in, but what was that, like a month ago?
Yeah.
Mental, like I'm still on a high and I still want to do, I just want to do more.
It really does warm the cold cockles of your heart to give back to your community in some way. And it's amazing to think that there's so many different ways you can, whether it be volunteering to help with a support group. There's the elder LGBTI dance clubs that exist and you can volunteer them. There's so many different ways that you can give back to your community, and so many different organisations, whether it be behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, whatever you want to do. It's really exciting. If you guys were going to be a part of something completely different and volunteer, what would you volunteer for?
Wow, that's a good question. Like I've always really cared about the seniors in our community, and I think that it's often part of our community that can feel like they've been forgotten about. So things like the Coming Back Out Ball and those sorts of things I'd love to help with. They're great initiatives for...
Well, the LGBTI elders dance groups now are always looking for volunteers, and they are so much fun to be a part of.
Yeah.
It is absolutely really wonderful to see them all dancing around and being a part of that, and actually just helping making a fantastic event for people, and it's not just for you.
Yeah.
Like, you have a great time doing it, but it's actually the smile that it gives someone else.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
I don't know, I've really just focused on the Thorne Harbour Health. Like, I mean, there's so many different entities little groups within that. So, I mean, just, I don't know, doing some research and just finding another avenue. I mean, David Williams' fund was solely to look after, I guess, people financially unstable or, less fortunate when they are living with HIV. Yeah. So I mean, there's so many little individual entities within Thorne Harbour Health that you can tag on to.
Well, I not only volunteer at Joy and other organisations, I also help with community groups and venues. There's so much you can do, whether big or small, where you can contribute in a little way that helps to affect the lives of so many in our community. So thank you for what you guys do to volunteer. We all really appreciate it. And to every other person that volunteers here, a big shout out to you within our communities. And if you're interested in getting involved, just ask the question. Reach out to any of these fantastic groups, or if you see us, come and ask us a question. This has been Between the Sheets with Dean. Thank you, Matt and Robbie.
Hi there, you're with Lisa Skye and Jeremy Shub.
Hi.
Hi, what's on your mind, friend?
I am very excited about counselling for queer folks.
Go on.
So I work as a counsellor and I'm queer identified and I work with a lot of queer people, and I think that queer services for queer people are really important because queer people have their own individual little needs.
Heck yeah.
Apart from millennials, most people my age or your age, maybe we're the same age.
I'm 37.
I'm
Or 38.
21. Internalised homophobia.
Yes.
So we tend to grow up in a culture where there's discrimination and stigma against doing anything that is not heteronormative. And so there's often a lot of shame and punishment within us and from without us. And being in an environment with someone who can normalise and affirm and celebrate our queerness and our little individual snowflakeness is magical.
Heck yeah. Well, there's such a need for it. I mean, I'm so lucky I have a GP who's trans, and so they get my non-binariness. They're not trying to put me in, a box if I have like gender dysmorphia or anything. They're not like, well, do you want to become this? Clinics that specialise in queer therapy that are totally overbooked. There's such a need for it.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
More services would be a wonderful thing. What I do, I work with people one-to-one and groups and couples, and It's so wonderful when someone can show up and sit down and tell their story and not be pathologized for being queer. Instead, it's like, I'm anxious or depressed because I'm anxious and depressed, rather than that needs to, my queer identity needs to change. It can be accepted. And that is really, really exciting and affirming and relieving for people who I work with.
I think it also ties into non-normative intimacies across the board. So, for example, straight people who are polyamorous. I mean, I've had relationship counselling with someone who'd only dealt with monogamous couples before, and I feel like we were kind of a learning curve.
Again, it is exciting when people show up and they get that the choices they're making of how they relate to others are accepted and fine and good, and then we can talk about what the relationship issues actually are between them as individuals, rather than about having to be monogamous.
So, there is, if you're queer identifying, a counsellor out there for you who will understand you without you having to do the homework of going through Labels 101. So just try and find them. Thank you so much, Jeremy Schaub. And I'm Lisa Skye for Bent TV.